It's the two megastars summer mashup. The awesome iPhone on the Rockstar Metro PCS network. Get the iPhone you've always wanted for $0 so you can jam without limits.
It's a hit. Get an iPhone SE on us when you switch. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax and $10 activation fee. Requires port in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or on Metro PCS in past 90 days to an unlimited LTE plan. See store for details and terms and conditions.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
The world around us is an amazing place, filled with beauty and with science. But let's face it, sometimes the science can be so confusing that it takes a PhD to understand it. Well, you're in luck. I just happen to have a PhD. Come and take a seat. Perhaps I can explain the world around us in a way we all can understand. Welcome to Conversations in Science. I'm Dr. Judy L. Moore. Call me Doc. Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Conversations in Science. I am Dr. Judy L. Moore, and as my intro says, I do have a PhD. For those of you who are new to the show, the way it works, I do the best I can to explain science in a way we can all understand without the technobabble. But let's face it, sometimes scientists get a little carried away, and I have somebody to help me. My producer, Jessie Sanders. Where are you, Jess?
What's up, Doc?
Hey, Jess. It's Jessie's job to make sure that I don't go too overboard with technology, because sometimes, I get a little carried away. But Jess,
I think
you're not going to be
guest
wrangling just one of us today.
I think I heard our guest snickering when I said, "What's up, Doc?"
Yeah, you're going to be wrangling two of us today because, we might get a little technobabble. Let's face it, okay?
Oh, don't worry.
But we have with us K.E. Lanning. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me to your show.
Right, so we're going to call you Karen for this show just because K.E. Lanning sounds a little bit of a mouthful, but that's okay. Why don't you tell us what your field of science is, how you got into it, and why don't we go from there?
I was going to say, and how you got into putting the science into fiction, Dan Cobalt's book.
Yeah,
exactly. We'll come to that.
Well, I am a geophysicist, and a geophysicist basically, at least in my part of that field, we use sound waves to image the subsurface of the Earth, which is, about, a mile down, or I'll let Judy go into the kilometers. But we image the subsurface, and it's somewhat like using an ultrasound to image a baby. And it's very interesting work. I have a physics degree that I got in 1979 with geology as basically a minor, and went into looking for helping energy companies do subsurface mapping. So that's how I got into the field.
Wow. Subsurface mapping. Now that actually sounds really cool. Now, I don't know about you, Jess, but I just went a bit geeky there.
I'm sitting here going, so did you find any roads underground? Because maybe we can alleviate the traffic congestion?
Yes.
I know that's a silly thing, but it's just like, oh my gosh.
No, it's very interesting.
Especially in the northeast of the United States where I live, it's just, there's so much congestion.
I have to admit, where I am, Christchurch, New Zealand, not so much, but Auckland, in terms of that congestion, it sometimes it looks like the engineers, we're going a bit off topic here, but it looks like they just threw spaghetti on a map and said, that's where we'll put the roads. And it's just like, oh, seriously? So, yeah, but no, what applications is, besides looking at the energy and some other bits and pieces, what sort of applications is geophysics used in?
Well, there is, as I said, for energy exploration, that's sort of my specific area. But of course, earthquake study is also in the category of geophysics.
I was wondering if you guys were busy.
You can also use the subsurface mapping to look for faults that could be involved in earthquakes.
Were people in your line of work involved in the volcano stuff happening out in Hawaii?
I'm not sure of that because that's basically surface. But they have been doing some. Now, this is not my area of expertise, but I'm interested in it. In using geophysics to predict earthquakes. I know that they've been doing some things out in California to try to look at faults and potential vibrations that could be precursors to earthquakes.
Oh, well, you're going to want to get in touch with the Geoservices here in New Zealand for that.
Yeah,
because
exactly. You guys got some great earthquakes down there.
Yeah, we've got some really good ones. And I know that just outside of Wellington, there's this wall that they've been looking at for quite some time because it actually sits on the fault line and you can see the layers that go back hundreds of years, and they're able to track how this wall has physically moved, this cliff wall.
Yeah.
It's rock surface, obviously, and they can measure, looking at the different structures and the different type of rock sediment that is there, they can identify roughly when was the last time the Southern Alpine Fault, when that actually went. And we're on a clock. We're sort of all waiting for it to just go in a big way.
Yeah, exactly. Good luck with all that.
Yeah. Oh, that has me a little real, thankfully I don't live on the Southern Alpine Fault, but no. Christchurch had some big ones, and we had faults that came up that we didn't even know existed. So you probably had quite a few, because I know there was a few geophysicists and geologists that were working at the university at the time of the big quakes that we had in 2010, 2011, and they were like kids at a candy store. It's like, oh, goody, we can use our equipment. Scientists, honestly.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah, we get giddy, don't we?
And you guys get giddy about some of the most interesting things. I mean, really, I love it, and sometimes I'm just sitting here going, okay, time out. Time out. Sometimes...
Well, okay, since she started that conversation about your specific field, what are you excited about? What are some of the things that get you giddy?
Well, one of the things I really love is being able to look inside of the earth. I mean, that's basically what I'm doing. And to see, I don't know if your audience is familiar with what a topographic map is, and that's on the surface.
You can always tell them.
What?
Yeah.
You can always tell them what a topographic map is.
It's basically where that it shows, say this, a particular area, that's where a mountain is, and then you're going down into a valley. It may show faulting, which is a break in the earth, not necessarily caused by, in fact, rarely caused by earthquakes, but it's where one side has fallen lower than another side. And so what I do is basically a topographic map that is under the surface. And so I'm basically sort of, as I mentioned, it is very similar to an ultrasound. And I'm seeing an image of basically going back into time, really, of the Earth. And so that is really cool. I am interested also in sort of how energy specifically, and that's one of, that is kind of an area of expertise, how and one of my articles actually in the anthology, putting the science in fiction, is what's the future of energy going to be? And I'm a very big proponent of and this is somewhat from my physics background, of nuclear fusion, which is not like what we have now is current, but it's something that really every month there seems like that they're having breakthroughs. So I'm hoping that we can get away from the fossil fuels and go to nuclear fusion. So that's one of the reasons why I put in that article in the anthology.
Cool. Okay. So, what are the sort of things that you are looking for when you are looking into the earth? Because I mean, I can imagine looking for things like aquifers and for water sources, but you're not going to be looking for water sources if you're looking for energy. What are you looking for?
Well, and your comment on water, that would be like a near surface, what they call a near surface seismic studies. What I do, as you mentioned, is deeper. And so basically what I look for is structure, as in where is the low area, where is the higher area, and where are the faults. And basically just do regional mapping. That's really where my expertise comes in. I've even worked for companies who do salt mining. And what they are doing is subsurface salt mining with using water to basically create a brine. In other words, they're dissolving the salt and pulling the salt out. But what I help them do is look at where their caverns are, because these particular salt mines were started back in the 40s. So there's multiple things that I do to image the subsurface.
Okay, I think I understand that.
So you're not working with people like archaeologists trying to find artifacts. You're working a lot deeper than they would be looking.
Jess, I think I missed the very first part of your question.
You don't work with people like archaeologists trying to image an area to dig up artifacts. You're working deeper than that.
Yeah, that would be more in the category of near surface. And the difference of near surface and what I'm doing is just, excuse me, a little bit the way that the sonic waves are sort of set up. It's just a little bit different, but it's basically the same technology. But yeah, I'm looking deeper.
Okay.
Okay, because I'd read about some of this imaging things underground to try and locate artifacts at an archaeological dig or something like that.
Yeah, it definitely.
I know there's one region of the world that I have I've talked about a bit on one of my other shows, and that's the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, because people are always wondering what's under there.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how they're technologically setting up that, but yeah, I've heard people trying to image areas, like spots that may have been a tomb, or an area where there could have been artifacts, as you're saying. So, and trying to find that it's a little bit different, and that certainly is not.
But it's the same technology used in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a similar type thing, but
you're more into earthquakes.
Well, I'm more into subsurface mapping, as far as
Judy's snickering because that's an earthquake sound effect that I've dug up one time for one of her shows. That keeps popping up, and she's about to slap my hand. I can feel it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to come back to a little bit with your specialty and you're looking at energy. What I'm trying to understand is how what you're looking for, how does it get used within the energy industry?
Well, it's actually changed from when I originally got into the business. We would find areas that, like a specific, what we call a prospect, and drill a vertical well to hopefully find natural gas. That of course has changed, and now mostly people are doing horizontal drilling to go directly into the shale, which is what the source is. Which has some controversies, of course, with that. And like I said, I mean, I hope that we get away from the fossil fuels at some point. I mean, unfortunately we can't get away from it, and until we find a truly legitimate replacement for that. Certainly, renewables take a part of the energy needs, but it can't do everything, unfortunately.
Okay, I think I understand. What about you, Jess? Are you getting understanding here?
I think I'm getting it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned that one of the articles that you have put into the putting the science in fiction, one of them was about the future of energy. So let's talk about that for a little bit.
Okay.
What sort of energy methodologies or energy generation methodologies do we currently have, and what is the one that's looking the most promising?
Yeah, I mean, we have, as I've said before, we certainly had fossil fuels, which has been basically, brought us out of the Middle Ages and all that into modern society. But, I think we've sort of checked that off the list. We're on now. Yeah, so, fossil fuels has been, our primary source of energy, since, the 1800s. And as I mentioned, basically brought us to our modern society. But, in my opinion, we've sort of, especially with the population that we have, we really need to move on and get a cleaner burning or a cleaner source of energy. Like I said, something like nuclear fusion. And we have other types of organics, the crop-based type fuels. But, I personally think that one it's still carbon-based burning. And you also take land away from food type of crop when you're putting it into energy. So to me, that's probably not the best thing to use. There's biofuels, which are great for utilizing waste. But again, it's it's still a carbon-based fuel. As far as, do you have a question?
Oh, I was just wondering, what about in New Zealand, we have a large amount of our power is generated by hydro and wind.
I'm coming to that.
Cool. Sorry.
No worries. So we've got. Let me just go to that then. So we have hydropower, which is a great source. The only problem is it tends to be area specific, where you have something that, or a river that has enough energy to supply basically energy for enough homes to make it worthwhile to either have some sort of a dam. I mean, you do have some issues with creating dams, but it is a good power source, and it's actually an ancient power source.
What about the people that say that damming up the river is going to cause problems with fill in the blank fish, fill in the blank whatever?
Exactly. Yeah, and I really think there's probably creating dams and constructing dams, in my opinion, in the future really needs to take an account of that. And I don't think, most of these dams seem to have been started, in the 30s and kind of continued on. But I think a lot of people nowadays are realizing that, and it's not just the fish and the environment, it's basically what are we doing to the drainage? What are we doing to normal deposition? So, I mean, there's a lot of issues. And, you really, one of the things that I am really into, and actually why I've been writing my science fiction, which is climate fiction. Yeah, so I really was interested in the human relationship with the Earth, which is the reason I was wanting to write my climate fiction books, because we really need to start listening to the Earth, because it's telling us what it needs, and we as humans are not currently listening, and we just basically do what we want, and we're not being good stewards of the Earth. So that's one of the things, in energy is a huge portion of that. So it is something that we really need to figure out. What is the energy that we need for the future that will balance what humans need and what the Earth needs?
I think that makes sense to me.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I do have one question, though.
Okay.
How hard was it to write fiction around climate change? How hard was it to make a fictional story around such a sensitive topic that can be so polarizing?
Well, the interesting thing is that what I did is I it's actually a trilogy called The Melt, but you really have to have a story. You can't just sort of go on about climate change and what might happen. But I created a world where we had a catastrophic change in climate, and I squeezed the time frame into basically a human lifespan of this melt, because I wanted it to be more dramatic. It's not necessarily geologically possible, but it's kind of amazing when you start looking at it. And so in my world, both the Arctic and the Antarctic ice caps have melted. And the way I logically did it is I had a catastrophic change of the ocean currents. And so I pushed in my book a warm current, the Brazilian current, to flow past Antarctica and accelerate the melting. Now, in my books, I have a couple of main protagonists, but I was really interested in not just the sea level would rise probably around plus or minus 300 feet.
Wow, that would wipe out a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I think I would be swimming. I'd need scuba gear.
Same here, Duck.
Right.
I think only the Colorado might be above level at that point.
Yeah. Waterworld, here we come.
Yeah, I mean, you would lose obviously a lot of your coastal, cities. And so what I was interested in is what would happen to the world, and this would be the humans on the world, in the political and social chaos that would ensue. So I really went at it, not, it's going to be this much footage here, but more, if you totally upset the political chessboard, what would happen? And particularly on things like human migration. Can you imagine what's happened with the politics of just this, fairly minor compared to what the world I'm talking about, the Syrian migration? What if you had so much water that you had entire countries, everybody leaving and going into trying to force their way into another country? So I was interested in it from that standpoint.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, so the first book is called A Spider Sat Beside Her, and it's about someone who is actually in the space station, because I wanted to show what the world would be from a bird's eye view. And she gets this scientist gets caught into the political corruption of people trying to steal other people's land. So, and then the second book, The Sting of the Bee, is about human migration and homesteading on the now bare Antarctica. So those are two of the types of things, and the political, social intrigue of that event as well. But the common thread is the human relationship with the Earth, which I really think we need to start understanding and trying to control things like population growth, because there's many things that affects, even climate change, just the number of people that we have, regardless of what kind of energy that you've got. There's many other things that we affect. So that was
I suppose that's actually a good way of making it so the focus is not about the climate change,
exactly,
but more about the story, and because that is obviously a concern that some people are going to have. All right, let's come back to some of the energy solutions that we have.
Sure.
You've spoken quite a bit about the fusion, nuclear fusion. Why do you think that's a good
nuclear
option?
Fusion? Yes. Yeah. Well, because and the other thing is I am a proponent of solar and wind and renewables. My feeling of that is that not so much as fields of solar panels or turbines, but more that every human man-made object should basically have some type of renewable in it, particularly our buildings. There's a lot of different things that I think that we could get to, and we are doing, but that we can get to. So I think that renewables should always be a part of, whatever solution that we end up with. The reason that, one thing that the renewables are still not really a magnitude enough to run things like our industry. I think that, it'd be great if we could get to that point, but one, they're intermittent. So a solution for basically unlimited energy would be something like nuclear fusion. Now, fusion is just the opposite of fission, and fission is what we currently have as far as power plant. And the problem with fission, besides some potential of meltdown or whatever on that part, but even if we could control that, you still have nuclear waste, and that particular nuclear waste is literally thousands to tens of thousands of years before it's safe. Whereas nuclear fusion is where you're fusing two hydrogen atoms and you're creating helium, but you're releasing energy in that process. But it's difficult to get to the pressures and temperatures that you need to keep the process actually running. And nuclear fusion is how our sun works. But it's just trying to create the atmosphere to fuse these atoms on a consistent basis is just tricky. But we are making, it's something I keep track of, and it's pretty amazing. There's a lot of both government and now even private industry are trying to come up with like a prototype that we can really go into the next generation and create power plants based on fusion power. And there's basically no, bad, what's the word I want, emissions from that. And what slight, some of the neutrons that are come as a result of the fusion, you get a little bit of radioactivity in the walls of the reactor, but it's literally like a 50-year half-life on those. So it's really a game changer if we could get to that point. It's literally a Prometheus moment. The other thing we have to consider...
Can we go back to earthquakes for a minute?
Sure.
There was just a 7.0 in Caracas, Venezuela.
Oh my goodness.
Now, okay.
Just now.
Yes.
Oh wow.
It just came across my phone. Judy can tell you I subscribe to more news services than is probably healthy. But
wow. Well, I hope no one was hurt.
It was a 7.0.
Unfortunately,
that's a pretty big one.
Big.
Yeah.
Now,
okay.
With a region like that that's known to have the earthquakes and has had several, would you guys be able to go in and try and see if there's some kind of way to relieve the pressure with those plates or do something to stop some place like that from having earthquakes? And I know this isn't normally a breaking news show.
Well, earthquake, yeah. Yeah, that's not earthquake science is not my area of expertise, but I have heard of scientists theorizing that creating small-scale earthquakes, if that was be possible, to slowly relieve the pressures that are developing underground, might be a way to sort of mitigate some of the larger quakes. But that's literally technology that's, I don't know, definitely down the road. They do not have that as yet. That's huge as far as manipulating the subsurface of the Earth.
So that is future technology.
Yes, I would say that would be definitely in the future technology basket.
Okay, I was just wondering because I've seen all these, there's been a number of earthquakes in that region lately, and it was just, can we warn people? Are we, I know, like I said, it's not your area of expertise, but do you think there will be a time where we at least have a warning system for them like we do with tornadoes and hurricanes?
I think that's it's still future technology, but they are definitely working on that in California and other places. But that's where I've read that they are trying to have these constant sensors that they're putting in the ground to see if they can get first warning of some small scale vibrations that are under the ground that may be precursors to the larger quake. But they don't have, it's just on the very cutting edge of that type of technology.
Wow.
Okay. Like I said, sorry to drop current events into the middle of this, but it just seemed relevant.
Yeah, that's wild.
Well, we were talking to a geophysicist. Hey,
It seemed to.
Why not?
Now, I do have another one. And this goes back to an episode we did previously, Doc. Plastic roads.
Oh, yes.
Do you think...
okay.
I'll let you explain it because you know way more than I do.
Yeah. So basically, a couple of the episodes that we've done in the past on Conversation Science about climate change and environmental sort of things. One of them was climate change is real, guys. The science is there. No fake science over here. It's all real. And just sort of explaining what some of the numbers really mean and what they explain. But some of the things of the episodes that we've talked about is some of the strategies that people have come up with to deal with environmental issues as well as climate change and some of these other issues. And obviously energy is one of the concerns that's there, but Some of the other concerns that have come through are about the amount of plastics that we have. And there's a group in Netherlands that have actually developing their I haven't seen much about where they're sitting at lately, but they are looking at taking plastic that's already made. They don't want to make, it was one of their mandates to say they don't want to make more. They just want to accumulate out of the landfill and out of the oceans. And so there's multiple stages to their project, but they're taking that plastic and turning it into roads. Roading channel. And the idea behind this is that instead of using all the asphalt with tar and rock that we have, and you have to constantly deal with that sort of thing.
It's the two megastars summer mashup, the awesome iPhone on the Rockstar Metro PCS network. Get the iPhone you've always wanted for $0, so you can jam without limits.
It's a hit. Get an iPhone SE on us when you switch. Metro PCS. Coverage not available in some areas, plus sales tax and $10 activation fee. Requires port-in of number not currently active on T-Mobile network or on Metro PCS in past 90 days to an unlimited LTE plan. See store for details and terms and conditions.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk, or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
Do you need a car? Been shopping only to be turned down because of bad credit, low credit, no credit, bankruptcy, or divorce? Guess what? Today's your lucky day, because now you can buy a car, truck, or SUV, just about any vehicle. It's true. Bad credit doesn't matter. No credit doesn't matter. Bankruptcy or divorce, it just doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, your job is your ticket to your new vehicle. We're Auto Credit Express, and we've helped thousands of people just like you. Antonio H. told us, great company, got me connected, and the day I went in, I drove off in the car I wanted. 100% worth your time. Need a car? Get started now and drive off as early as today. Just text FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911 right now to get started. That's FINANCE, FINANCE, to 357-911. Auto financing the easy way. Text FINANCE to 357-911.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your healthcare? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their healthcare. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your healthcare, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your healthcare while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, But even then, he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Instead of dealing with all that, dealing with the asphalt and rocks and tar and that sort of stuff, you have basically these plastic channels. So if you need to replace a roading section, you literally just pick up that plastic channel, put a new one in place, and off you go. And they're actually I think it's awesome technology. My question, I suppose, which is probably the question that Jess probably got, is what do you think about technologies like that?
Well, I would say that again, that's not my expertise. It's an interesting idea. What I don't know is, you've got extreme temperatures, potentially on roads. And obviously, if you had a crack in the road, that could be quite dangerous, with somebody driving over it. I did see, I think, a program similar, and they were using it in parking lots, and not on, or I don't remember them using it actually on something surface you might drive on. So, I mean, it certainly is a good source of being able to reuse something that is being way too used way too much as trash and thrown out obviously into the oceans and landfills and all that. I mean, it's totally ridiculous that we can't find good sources to recycle these things that we're using, especially plastics, which should be able to be reused. So it's certainly an interesting idea. Back to not trying to talk about my books anymore or more, but
well, I was actually going to go back to the books very shortly anyway. So why not just do that now?
Well, one of the things, because whenever you create a road, you're actually sort of tearing up the earth, and so on the Antarctica, I have now the technology is not quite there yet, but I have most of the vehicles are hovercraft. So you don't even have to have actually roads, because I thought, well, how would I want to have people traveling, particularly on something that you may have some permafrost and some other issues, where you're not tearing up the earth. So I think that you definitely, as you go into the thinking about the future, is like, one, how can we least impact the earth, and really think outside the box. And I mean, I must admit, Elon Musk is pretty cool with some of the things that he does as far as thinking outside the box. So, I mean, we really, really need to consider a light footprint and have that as a part of our technologies of going into the future.
Okay, now let's just come to, because both of us are contributors to putting the science in fiction. What are your chapters in the book?
Yeah, so I'm in part 6, the Earth and Other Planets section, and my 2 specific articles are The Future of Energy and Imagining Climate Change. The Imagining Climate Change is actually focuses on climate fiction and sort of where it came from, and different authors, and sort of why it's becoming even more so. I think because of people's angst about the future and climate change, it's becoming more of a genre that people are interested in.
Yeah, and then of course the future of energy. You're talking about some of the different energy
Right.
sources. Yes?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's basically what we were discussing before is just the different energy sources that are available and what we might be doing in the future.
Okay, I think
I got
that
one more
sounds pretty
question.
cool.
I got one more.
Okay, you ask.
Other than your 2 chapters, what chapter are you most looking forward to read in the book?
There's some real interesting sort of psychological chapters in there. There's different medical fields, engineering, biology. There's some really good stuff in the book, so I definitely encourage people to get a copy of it.
Oh, definitely. I mean, stuff my chapters. I don't care about my chapters. I want it for everyone else's chapters.
Yeah.
I think I've seen there's chapters about entomology. There was marine biology.
Yeah.
There are so many different, and it's such a wide, vast amount of topics.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. And I don't know about you, but I'm sitting there thinking this is going to be one of those books that it doesn't matter what genre you write. In fact, it doesn't even matter if you're a writer or not. If you just see fiction and you like, TV or movie, and you're going, no, that's not right.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you'll actually like this book, because this book is just experts in their fields going where fiction gets it wrong, or where they might get it right, because I do know that sometimes fiction does get it right.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing. You'll see both something that, and it's really nice when a writer of either a book or a TV show or a movie actually does the research. You can tell they actually care about making it realistic, and then you'll see other ones you go, oh my God.
Yeah. Sometimes you really do. Sometimes you look at it and you go, yeah, no. Yeah, no.
Exactly.
Definitely not. Yeah. So, yeah,
Sorry,
I
Doc,
think
but
it's
I
gonna be
had
one of
to
those really
ask.
good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And what was it? We just got the announcement, I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before, of that sample chapters have now been made public. So,
all right.
There's a couple of links I think I've put out onto my own personal feeds, the link to where these sample chapters are, because I don't think they've put the sample chapters yet up on Amazon. I don't think you can go into Amazon just yet and get the sample chapters.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure. Yeah, I know they have it on pre-order, but I don't know whether they have the sample chapters up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if those sample chapters are there, but yeah, I noticed. I've put out the links on my own personal feeds about the sample chapters, and it's just like, guys, you gotta look at this. This is amazing. Yeah. So, all right, Jess, do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm fresh out of questions and breaking news announcements today.
Oh, yes, okay. Right, Karen, do you have any? Is there anything that you wanted to say that we haven't asked besides your social media stuff? Because we'll come to that shortly.
Yeah, no, I think that's about it. Yeah, I think it's hopefully it'll be entertaining for your audience.
Oh, I'm sure it will be, especially the breaking news announcement. Right, okay, so if people have any questions about, oh, shush with that cow. If people have any questions about geophysics or your books or anything else for that matter, how do they get hold of you?
Yes, so the easiest way is probably just go to my webpage, which is kelanning.com. That's KELANNING.com. And I've got all my social media right there, so you can just jump on, any of my Facebook or Twitter and all that. Yeah, I just kind of have the descriptions of the books and stuff like that. And I have links to some of the Dan Koble web pages that go into these things. And of course, we've got I don't actually have the link as yet put up to putting the science and fiction, but I will be putting that on my website as well.
Yep, and I'm looking at our website right now, and it's really awesome, guys. Just go and take a look.
Thank you.
Information there. It's great. Okay, Jess, we might be on a bit on the shorter side of our episodes, but I think that's okay, don't you?
Yeah, unless you want me to start throwing sound effects just to make you two yell at me. I've got a few more.
Save me now.
I mean,
Jess. Oh. Honestly, can't take her anywhere. Okay.
Karen,
right.
I will say one thing. You survived the episode without triggering my warning. You didn't explain something sound effect.
Oh, good. Excellent.
Yeah, she's used it on me a few times, but it's like, Jess, I was getting there. All right, it's been awesome having you on the show, and thank you so much for reaching out. Meanwhile, Jess, I think that's it from us.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of Conversations in Science. If that wasn't enough of a science jolt for you, well, you can catch old episodes on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, and a whole range of other popular podcast locations. In the meantime, if you have a question about science and just want to know a little bit more, feel free to contact us at the station, and that's at science@klrnradio.com. Alternatively, you can contact me on Twitter, and that's at Judy L. Moore, or you can find me on Facebook, and that's Judy L. Moore, or you can drop me a line through my personal website, which is judylmoore.com. I think you can see the pattern here. Meanwhile, my cohort over here.
For anyone wanting to track me down, they can follow me on Twitter at Radio Host Jessie, or they can email me at the station at jessie@klrnradio.com. And they can always check out the books and authors I talk to at jessiescoffeeshop.com. Bye!
Bye, guys!